Hey, what's going on? This is Thomas Galdenzi with Combat Sports Coverage. And on this edition, I'll be interviewing UFC and Ultimate Fighter Season 27, Tyler Diamond, over his upcoming LFA featherweight title fight, where he'll be taking on 10-0 Jon Neal. So Tyler, how's your training camp going so far, about 1 week out from this epic title fight versus submission specialist Jon Neal?
It's going great. I mean, the crazy thing of being at Team Alpha Male is you can't really differentiate when you're in fight camp, when you're not, because all the practices are super intense. If you're there, you're going hard. Not always in terms of like taking damage, but just physically being a tough practice. So technically, I've been in fight camp for 5 months now, because I tried fighting for LFA originally a long time ago, just with different opponents and fights falling out. So here we are, finally, May 10th, finally making my return.
And how is that, training with an awesome team like Team Alpha Male?
Oh, it's the best. I couldn't imagine being anywhere else, I mean, I truly have the best training partners in the world, especially for people my weight, You can look at all the IG posts a day and point out daily over 10 people that are in the UFC, and it's just, it's a stacked, competitive room. And sometimes you're the hammer, and some days you're the nail. That's just how it is. There's a lot of killers in there.
And how long have you been training with that team, Team Alpha Male?
So you know what? I originally started training there when I was 18 years old, kind of like as part time. Like I was in college wrestling, but in between classes, and when it wasn't wrestling season, I'd come over and I would get my freaking butt kicked. And but it was awesome. I got to train with Faber, Joseph Benavidez, T.J. Dillashaw, Danny Castillo, like all those guys during that time of Team Alpha Male. It was a really special time. And so I initially got to know them then, and then I went to school. And then when I came back, I let it be known, like, hey, I'm coming back to Team Alpha Male. I'm going to really run with this thing. So it's been great seeing how much the team has changed and transitioned and morphed over time. And, gosh, it's just been awesome. Like I said, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
Yeah, to me, they seem like one of the best teams out there. If I could ever pick like one of the superstar teams, that would definitely be the team I would like to train with. Uriah Faber and all of his guys seem like awesome people to train with and great coaches. And tell me, I know they upgraded their facility. How is it having that mega facility now to train out of?
Oh, man, it's incredible. I almost feel spoiled. I mean, being from Orville and coming up in a gym that had no electricity, like, we didn't even have stuff to really clean the mats. Like, I used to train in this disgusting little thing, basically a little garage, and we didn't even really know what the heck we were doing. To training where I'm at now, I almost feel spoiled, the Russians are so good because they aren't spoiled. They train in, like, really harsh conditions and do some crazy stuff, so I still make sure to get that really hard, like, humbling training in, but it's definitely an advantage being in such a world-class facility, I mean, everything you need is at your disposal. So it's pretty cool that Faber has steadily built it up to what it is today. I mean, anyone that comes and visits is just astounded at what we have. I mean, we have a freaking cafe, we have a sauna, we have anything CrossFit related. I mean, we have personal trainers, strength conditioning guys, massage therapists on hand at all times, like. And then, any of the coaches are pretty much available at all times. Like, hey, I need to get this in. And they're like, all right, well, let's do it. So we just have a plethora of options and availabilities and amenities. So it's great.
That sounds awesome. I did not know they had like their own cafe. That sounds pretty cool. After a hard training, just go get some great food and everything. And speaking of food, you're a pretty shredded guy. How's your weight cut going so far, about a week out from your title fight?
Oh, man, my weight's always good. I mean, I'm not necessarily the biggest 45er. Some people say I am, but I think it's just because they've seen me on TV. In person, I'm not that big. But it's really good. I'm waking up at 10 pounds over. I'm at like 6.5% body fat. So that's the key for me is I just get my body fat down and I get my natural walking around weight from 10 to 12 pounds over, because that's what I'm going to enter the fight at. And, man, it should be easy money, really.
That's awesome, yeah. Like you were saying, I see your pictures and I've seen you on TV and everything, and you look really shredded. So I've always wondered how much weight you would have to cut. And how do you see this fight playing out Friday night an LFA 66 main event fight?
You know, I'm not one to say specifically how something's going to happen. I mean, he's a tough guy. I'm not overlooking him. It could be a really tough decision in my favor, or I could finish him early. Who knows what's going to happen in there? All I know is I can only control what I can control, and that's fighting as hard as I possibly can. And I do that every single time. And I certainly am not going to hesitate in this fight. I mean, I'm going to give it everything I got.
And what's your biggest strength heading into this fight? Is it your grappling? Is it your striking? Or is it just going to be your well-roundedness skills?
Yeah, I would say that right there. You know, my well-roundedness skills, and the fact that I've been there, done that before. You know, I've been in wars. I've had that feeling where, you know, I'm just dead tired and you got to keep pushing through it. And I've had that multiple times. I mean, I experience that every single day in practice. You know, I get pushed hard, and you know, I'm sure he gets pushed hard too, but I don't think he quite gets pushed like I do. And yeah, I get put in some deep water sometimes, man, and I gotta fight through that adversity every single day. So I've been there, done that. It's nothing new. You know, the fight doesn't start until both guys get tired, and it's who can handle it the best after that. And I think for the most part, I've proved that I'm better at handling things when it goes that route.
It's actually a great quote. I've never heard that one. The fight doesn't start until you get tired. I like that. I like that a lot. I used to do amateur competing, and you're right. Once you get tired, it's your whole mind turns totally different. You know, that's actually a really good saying. I like that a lot. And
It's a game changer.
And you haven't fought since your last fight in the UFC when you competed on the Ultimate Fighter Season 27 finale versus Bryce Mitchell. And I was wondering, what's kept you out of the cage? I was in July 2018, almost a year ago.
Yeah. The longest layoff I've ever had in my career. I mean, prior to that, I was averaging 3 to 4 fights a year, you know. And if I had it my way, I would keep that pace. You know, after my fight in July, it was a big blow. You know, I mean, I had suffered a legit loss on the Ultimate Fighter in the semis. I got upset, you know, no one to blame but myself. And then going into the fight with Bryce, I felt really good. You know, I mean, I had a fractured foot and stuff, but nothing that affected me in the fight, you know. And the fight was certainly closer than it should have been. But I felt like I did enough to win. And then when they announced him as the winner, man, it just took a lot of wind out of my sails. You know, I took about a month off to just focus on hunting and kind of enjoying life again. I kind of slipped into a little depression there. It's like, you know, I had my chance at the UFC and I lost against someone I really should have beat. You know, I trained with Bryce on the show. He's a good buddy. I'm not talking crap, but I'm better than Bryce. I should have won, but I didn't, and that's my fault. I can't blame it on anyone else, you know. I can't blame it on the judges not knowing exactly what they're seeing. I kept it too close, right? So I'm not going to play the blame game here. But, you know, after that, I was kind of told just to stay ready by the UFC. I might get a short notice opportunity. That opportunity never really came. It's really hard to get coming off of a loss. No matter how it is, on paper, it's a loss. So then I started looking at other routes. I started looking at fighting for LFA because that's kind of a feeder to the UFC. And like I said, I tried getting my first fight with LFA in February. And about 10 to 15 guys later, here we are. Jon Neal accepted the fight, and thankfully he did. You know, I mean, prior to that, I was going to be fighting Tyson Griffin, UFC veteran. I was going to be fighting him at Tachi Palace, and that show actually got canceled completely. So that was a big blow too. I'm like, gosh dang, man, I can't get a fight. You know, like now I finally get a fight, and the show gets canceled. And then Jon Neal steps up to the plate and says, "Hey, I'm down," and as he rightfully should, he's 10-0. You know, he can't be picking and choosing fights from here. So here we are. Week away, finally. So I'm just excited.
I'm not gonna lie, that Tyson Griffin fight, I didn't know about that. That would have been a cool fight. I was a big fan of his back in the day, so that sucks that fight fell through for you. But
yeah.
Speaking of that Bryce Mitchell fight, were you surprised that the UFC let you go after that one fight? I mean, that fight, like you said, was very competitive. It was a very close fight. You guys were back and forth. It could have gone either way. You also had a great record before that fight. You were undefeated. You know, I was really surprised that the UFC let you go after just that one fight. It's not like you got knocked out. It's not like you got submitted. It was a war. And, you know, were you kind of shocked by that?
Yes and no. I mean, I kind of knew with it being a one-fight deal that it was like you got to win type of thing to have that security. I didn't, so it was uncertain as to what was going to happen. And Yeah, I mean, and then, suffering the defeat prior to that in the semis to Jay. The one thing I thought I had going for me is I'm very exciting, and I let it all hang out there. Like I'm like, hey, I've proven that I'm exciting. I'm proven that I'm going to fight hard every time. So maybe they'll make an exception for me, but I don't think it was a matter of they wanted to cut me. I think it was a matter of like, hey, we have to because of space and how things are. You had to win that fight, and we signed you or not. So go ahead and get a win or two or whatever, and we'll re-sign you type of thing. So I'm just going to take things one fight at a time, not look ahead too much. Right now, the most important fight of my career is 1 week away on May 10th in Salt Lake City, Utah for LFA. I got to get it done. I know what I need to do. I put months into this, and he ain't going to fight harder than me. I'm gonna get after it.
And LFA is one of, I feel like, the top organization that feeds people to the UFC. And if you get this win and win this title on Friday, May 10th, do you think the UFC will be calling you back up there?
Man, I sure hope so. But I'm not going to predict anything. You never know. I mean, I didn't think that I would get to 9-0 and not be signed at that time. Luckily, Ultimate Fighter came around and all that. But man, who knows? Like I said, I'm just going to take it one fight at a time. I'm going to get through this fight, and hopefully we can make something happen.
Yeah, I definitely would like to see you back in the UFC, and I feel like you'll probably will get back in there sooner than later, especially after you win this title. And looking back on your time on Ultimate Fighter Season 27, what was the best and worst part of being on that show for you?
The best part was the opportunity. It was kind of like, man, I finally get my chance. Like, here it is. This was made for me. Every single day I would write my notebook 10-0 because the only fight that was going to count was in the finals, right? So I'm like 10-0, 10-0, and I was just focused on winning that thing. So that was the best part, was that I got the opportunity to do it, right? The worst part was that I didn't win it, and I should have, But I'm not going to be one of those guys like, yeah, I should have won it. I didn't, and it's my fault, right? So that's the best and worst thing. Overall, I can't complain. I got the opportunity.
And I was definitely cheering for you. When I was watching the season, you were, me and my buddies, we always make a bet. Like, we pick two guys who we think are going to win the show. And you were definitely one of my picks to win the show. So I was cheering for you. And you did put on a great fights, and it was a great show with you on it. And then how was it having a coach like Daniel Cormier as your coach on the show?
Oh, it was great. I love DC. I mean, I've always been a fan of him. I've never rooted against him one time. As Stipe too. Like, I really like Stipe. I never rooted against Stipe. So going into it, I'm like, hey, I'll be happy if I get picked with either or. But after evaluations, I had more of a preference toward DC. You know what? And mainly because John Vellante farted in the hallway, and it pissed me off. I'm like, I don't want that guy to be my coach. He really just pissed me off farting up in this hallway. You know what I mean? So then I'm like, I like DC and his crew. So I'm sitting there thinking, like, gosh, I think I'm going to get pick number one. I just have a feeling. I hope that DC gets the coin toss where he at least gets the chance. And he got that coin toss, and I just looked at him, and I'm shaking my head. I'm like, let's go. And he picked me number one, so I was happy about that.
That is awesome. And the UFC recently announced that DC and Stipe will be rematching for the heavyweight title. And I just want to get your thoughts and picks on that fight. Do you think DC is going to pull it off again?
I do, but I don't think it'll be as easy as it was the first time, right? I mean, people learn from their mistakes. I definitely think he's going to have to get Stipe to the ground. But yeah, I think overall, typically in rematches, people win the fight the second time. Typically, doesn't mean Stipe can't pull it off. But yeah, I see DC winning it again.
And are you still close with any of the competitors on season 27?
A little bit. Like, I'll hit up Ricky Steele here now and then. I really like Richie Smolin. I mean, I hate to individualize guys. I mean, I like all of them, I even like Bryce, even though he's in the UFC doing good and I'm not right now, and I feel like I should be there, But, yeah, we got a little group chat on IG. We hit each other up every once in a while, and it's cool, man. I mean, we shared 6 weeks being in the house, together. I mean, you bond a little bit. I mean, I tried not to bond too much because I kept it inside, like, hey, these are my competitors, but, you can't help but bond a little bit when you're with someone for 6 weeks straight like that.
And if the UFC ever did another Ultimate Fighter comeback series, Would that be something you would maybe be interested in, or are you kind of over that?
Hey, anything where I can get an opportunity, I will take. They told me, hey, you got to start running right now from where you are to the East Coast without stopping. I ain't stopping. I'm going and doing it. You know what I mean? They could tell me I got to go run through a wall, and I'm running through that wall. Whatever I got to do to get that opportunity, I will do.
Giving me chills kind of right there. I can see the seriousness, intensity in your face when you're saying that. You
I'm
definitely
serious.
want to get back, and I think you're going to get back, especially if you can keep that focus and this going. Because, you looked really serious, and that was awesome. It gave me chills. I'm kind of like, oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, I don't like trying being too serious of a guy, but I am serious as a heart attack on that. You know what I mean? Like, I will do whatever the heck it takes.
And then I want to get your picks for tomorrow's UFC main event fight, where we'll see Raging Alaquinta taking on Cowboy Cerrone. I want to see who you think is going to win that fight.
Man, you know what? I am not like the biggest fighting fan. Like, I couldn't even tell you the last time I watched fights, and I feel like I'm terrible at predicting, but if I was going to predict, I'm going to go with Iaquinta. I think a lot of people are on Cowboy right now because he's gotten 2 fights in a row or whatever, but can't count Iaquinta out, man. He's freaking tough. I think he's going to get it done.
I'm agreeing with you also. I think Cowboy might be a little bit more well-rounded, but I think Alaquinta, he just hits really hard, and I feel like he's going to stay in there like a dog and pull off that fight. And then, do you have any other hobbies besides training and fighting?
Oh, dude. So I enjoy training and fighting and stuff, but it is not my number one hobby. Which, to be honest, I feel like it kind of has to be in order to be successful. So I'm kind of contradicting myself here, but what I mean is it's not my number one hobby, but it is my job, so I take it very, very seriously. And I have a very good work ethic, and that carries me through. And I enjoy it, but I do enjoy a lot of things more. I love hunting. I love being in the outdoors. And I love working. Like, I love making progress and building things and making things complete and be able to check things off the list. I really, really enjoyed that. But yeah, I love fighting, man, but it's definitely not my number one. Number one would be hunting, being out in the woods, out in the mountains, and working extremely hard to try and take an animal down and put it in my freezer.
Speaking of hunting, on that Ultimate Fighter season, I remember that the Bryce guy, your former opponent, he would, I think, hunt squirrels in the backyard or something. Did you ever do any of that crazy hunting with him in the backyard or anything?
No. So me and Bryce are similar but very different. Like, he's more of like a real redneck, like, will hunt for squirrels and like shit like that. Me, I'm like, I am not going to waste the energy making a fucking bow hunting squirrels in the backyard of this damn place. But when I get out of here, I'm gonna hunt with my real bow for some deer or something. You know what I mean? But yeah, we had fun shooting his bow and things like that. But yeah, we're kind of different country boys.
Do you usually hunt with a bow, or do you go with like a shotgun or anything?
Yeah, I enjoy deer hunting with my bow, and then when bow season's over, I'll use the rifle because I'm certainly not gonna bow hunt when everyone's rifle hunting. Unless I'm on private property or something. And then shotgun for duck season, obviously, and turkey season is here now. I'm like one of the busiest guys around in terms of I have to train for a fight, and then in my free time I have to get ready for a wedding that's coming up. I'm getting ready for our venue, getting that all done up. But I was able to sneak away a couple weeks ago and go nail a turkey on the run. Yeah. So it's good. I try and sneak that time in there when I can. And I'm really big into shed hunting, which I don't know if you know this, but every year deer lose their antlers in like late February, early March, and that's how they get bigger every year, right? So I love finding those antlers, man. I don't know. I think other people think I'm weird and crazy that I'll just like go walk around and look for antlers, but it's exciting just finding because they're hard to find, and it's just cool like knowing, man, a buck was standing right here and his antler fell off, and I found that thing and it's mine forever because they will last forever. And I just love putting them on top of the mantle and putting them on the table. They just look freaking cool,
That's actually really cool. I had no idea that happened, and I could see that being fun. A lot of people like to go hunting in beaches, for treasure, so it's kind of like that, it sounds like. And then do you have any last words to your opponent?
Not really, I'm not much of a talker. I'm just going to go out there and do my thing and fight hard and that's it, man. I don't need to say anything to pump myself up. The motivation's already inside me.
And then do you have any thank yous for any special training partners or sponsors?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, number one, I got to thank my team and my coaches, right? I mean, without them, who am I? Without them, I'd be training in a freaking garage somewhere, hitting a bag and sucking. You know what I mean? So, got to thank them, obviously. And, I just got to thank all my support group around me. Like, obviously, my fiance, who I'm marrying, like, without her support, if she was on me about doing this, I wouldn't be able to really do it. And, I'd probably hate life, but she's all for it. Nothing but encouraging. My mom has helped me out a ton along the way. I'm pretty fortunate that she paid all my bills up until I was like 24 years old. I mean, who the hell can say that, all so that I could chase a dream of wrestling in college and then doing this fighting thing, And then, there's just so many people, the whole town of Orville, California, my like second hometown now, Paradise, California, like I get a lot of support from those guys, And talking about Paradise, California, the whole town just about burnt down.
Oh, no. Why is that? I had no idea.
Oh, man. The most destructive fire in California history happened right in my backyard and burnt down the whole town. It's really a crazy, crappy thing. I mean, you got a whole town that's displaced right now, and they're in Chico and Orville and moved all across the country. And it's a sad, sad situation, man. But, if any town that I know of is going to rebuild and come back better than ever, it's Paradise. Those people up there are a different breed. I mean, all of Northern California is tough, but Orville and Paradise, those two towns, man, so I'm from Orville and then Paradise, those kids just are freaking tough there, and you got to be tough to grow up there, I feel like, there's a certain kind of blue-collar work ethic and pride those people have, and it's something that I carry within myself, and I'm very prideful of, so I got to give my town and Paradise a shout-out, obviously, and, yeah, man, then specific people like Lana, for Lana's Egg White, she sends me egg whites on demand, which is really cool of her. And then I got Strike Force Energy that sends me little energy packs that you put in your water, and it tastes just like an energy drink, and it stays clear. It's like actually pretty incredible. It's I don't endorse products that I don't like. I've had people send me stuff and I don't really like it, and I kind of just kindly tell them like, hey, I don't really like it, so I'm not going to really endorse it. But those are two things that I really like, so I got to give them a shout out as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I just, gosh dang, life's good, man. I train hard. I try and be the best person I can be, and I got a lot of good support around me, and it's awesome.
Well, congratulations on your upcoming wedding. And everyone needs to tune in to Legacy LFA 66 to watch Tyler Diamond put a beat down on his upcoming opponent, Jon Neal. And I wish you best of luck, and I hope you get this title, and I hope to see you back in the UFC soon.
Thank you. I really appreciate your time, and yeah, just thanks again.